Good morning, Britain. Have a global exclusive for you tomorrow from 6, a peek at the set of the new James Bond movie with Daniel Craig. At 8:30, newest King of the Jungle Carl Fogarty tells Lorraine what life's been like since he left the Aussie outback. Judy Finnegan talks to Philip and Christine about her new career as a writer at 10:30 on This Morning. And after that, Judy Murray joins our Loose Women as a guest panellist at 12:30, and Charlene Spiteri celebrates 25 years of Texas. Now, the latest ITV news in the Tyne Tees region with Pam Royal and Ian Payne.
Good evening, welcome to ITV News Tyne Tees. Tonight's headlines: no case to answer. Durham's Police and Crime Commissioner won't be charged over bonuses he never asked for.
To have your integrity challenged publicly at least twice throughout this process and have the process drag on for so long has been very, very difficult to cope with.
Also in tonight's programme, we show you the moment Alan Barnes got his cheque from the woman who helped raise more than £300,000.
Taking a part of history, how illegal metal detecting on Hadrian's Wall is damaging the World Heritage Site.
And in sport, the good, the bad and the reunion. A look back at last night's goals and ahead to tonight's managerial face-off.
Good evening. First tonight, the man in charge of overseeing Durham Police says he's angry that he's been investigated over his bonuses for 18 months, only for the Crown Prosecution Service to decide there is insufficient evidence to suggest he's broken the law.
Police Commissioner Ron Hogg says the police watchdog has wasted taxpayers' money and he should never have been investigated over bonuses he never even asked for. The watchdog says it was important the allegations were looked into independently. Dan Ashby reports.
For more than a year, this man has been dogged by an accusation that could have cost him his career and his freedom. It was that he, the man in charge of millions of pounds of police money, had accepted dodgy expenses when he was a police officer himself. But today, the Crown Prosecution Service said there's insufficient evidence to suggest he's committed a crime and no further action should be taken.
Very angry that it's got to this stage. I'm very angry about the length of time that it's taken, because that's caused me a great deal of stress. I'm not too sure it's a very good expenditure of taxpayers' money in any shape or form. I didn't ask for any of these benefits, took no part in the decisions, and so therefore I'm really rather confused as to how I found myself in this position in the first place. But to have your integrity challenged publicly at least twice throughout this process and have the process drag on for so long has been very, very difficult to cope with.
The investigation centred on 2 bonus payments when he was at Cleveland Police and a car he was given when he retired. But the CPS said they were allowed under the terms of his contract. What's more, his boss recommended the bonuses because of excellent performance.
I think it's important to talk about the bonuses. How much money were you given?
The bonuses in total added up to something in the region of about £29,000 over 3 years. That's before tax. And the bonuses were as a reward for exceptional performance in my work.
Today, the police watchdog, the IPCC, said these were serious allegations against a holder of public office, and it was important that they were independently investigated. At the end of the investigation, it was decided that the evidence met the threshold for a referral to the Crown Prosecution Service. But of course, the CPS then drops their investigation. And Mr. Hogg now wants to know why the IPCC took so long. And after answering questions about himself, he says he now wants answers from them. Dan Ashby, ITV News in Durham.
Well, next tonight, thieves known as Nighthawks are using metal detectors to unlawfully dig on historic land along Hadrian's Wall. They've been accused of robbing the country of the chance to understand the past.
Over the last few weeks, a number of digs have been found at Steel Rig and Peel Crags in the Northumberland National Park. And experts say it means important artefacts are being sold or kept instead of studied and displayed. Johnny Blair reports.
It's world famous and attracts more than 1 million visitors every year. But a very tiny number of those visitors are coming at night and taking far more home with them than just memories. We can see one of the holes here. How do you know it's not animals that have done this?
It's the very straight sides that the hole's got. It's very clearly been dug with a spade. It's not going to be the kind of thing that a burrowing animal or a sheep is going to scrape into this area.
How deep down have they gone?
It's probably about 18 inches or so, a foot to 18 inches, and retrieve whatever it is that the metal detector has set off the signal of.
When you come along to a beautiful site like this and you see the damage that's been done, how does that make you feel?
It makes me feel really sad and frustrated. The ability to understand Hadrian's Wall, the past that belongs to, in a sense, to all of us, is compromised by this kind of really irresponsible activity.
The land belongs to the National Trust, and therefore anything found on it legally belongs to them. But the various heritage organisations involved in the upkeep of Hadrian's Wall say it's more than just artefacts which are being stolen, that we are being robbed of our history.
It isn't just the artefacts, important that they are, it's the disturbance, the loss of context, the loss of information that ends up leaving all of us, not just ourselves now, but for future generations, bereft of that information in it. And it's theft in that sense from all of us, all our cultural history.
One museum along the route of the wall shows the kind of history they want to get their hands on.
To an individual who might be looking for financial gain, yes, on occasion there are things that will be worth hundreds of thousands of pounds below the ground. Most of the time they're worth money, or they are sold for a few hundred or a few thousand pounds.
Archaeologists are keen to stress they work well with metal detecting groups on planned excavations. These are isolated raids with objects taken from under the ground and right under the noses of historians.
Raids on Hadrian's Wall, not for the first time. Johnny Blair is there for us live tonight near Steel Rig in the National Park. Johnny, what are the police doing to try to help catch these thieves?
Well, it's very dark nights just like this one which provide the perfect conditions for these so-called night hawkers to operate under. One of the reasons they're proving so hard to catch is because you have a 73-mile stretch of wall, much of that in isolated and remote areas. Now, police say they're taking this very seriously. They say theft is theft, and anyone caught doing it could face prosecution. English Heritage is asking the public to do its bit as well to keep an eye out for anybody with a metal detector in the area, clearly not on an organised dig. Now, the wall and the ground underneath it still has secrets to give up, as long as they're dug up properly and shared so everyone can benefit.
Johnny, thank you very much indeed. Johnny Blair on Hadrian's Wall for us tonight.
Well, now to the east end of the wall, Wall's End. Multi-million-pound plans for the future of the town in North Tyneside have gone on display. They showcase the future vision for the area, including improvements to the shopping centre with a new supermarket, drive-through and pub. There's also more information on the development of the Swan Hunter shipyard. North Tyneside Council claims the developments will bring in around 1,000 jobs.
You're watching Wednesday night's ITV News for Tyne. Still to come this evening, in a region built on its industry, how workers affected by asbestos could be helped in the future.
And a sheet of cloud covered much of the UK today, only the northeast corner getting any brighter breaks. But there is one place that it's guaranteed to be sunny at the moment. I'll have more on that and your full forecast later in the programme.
A cheque for more than £300,000 has been presented to disabled pensioner Alan Barnes, who was attacked outside his home in Gateshead, leaving him with a broken collarbone.
It was handed over by Katie Cutler, who set up an online fundraising page for him when she heard about what happened. Well, Alan says he plans to spend the money on a new house. A warning, there's some flash photography in Rachel Bullock's report.
He says it's like a fairy story. Alan Barnes receiving the £330,000 cheque from the woman who made it all possible. Katie Cutler, once a complete stranger to Alan, started her online fundraising page after reading about his ordeal. Thanks to her and the kindness of thousands of strangers worldwide, he now looks forward to a new house and a new start.
The money was a bit overwhelming, like at first, like, 'cause not used to money like that, not at that amount. And I'm just an ordinary person, so, well, hopefully I'm going to try and get a house where Katie lives. If we're going to do things together, it seems sensible to live not too far away.
Katie's fundraising page was literally the gift that kept on giving. Following the presentation, the new friends enjoyed some lunch.
It has been so busy and everything's been going really quick, but it's nice to just sit down, have some nice food, a few cakes, and just catch up really and be able to talk without everyone being there.
It's good what she's done. She's got what I call the get up and go. Oh yeah, it's just like a fairy story really.
The cheque's dated for the 13th of February, as on Friday there'll be a special event when it's formally presented. For some, that'll mark the end of this remarkable story. For Alan and Katie, it's still only the start of a lifelong friendship. Rachel Bullock, ITV News.
Yes, and that's a story we haven't finished with, so do stay tuned. Now, every year, more than 100 people in our region die from mesothelioma. It's a cancer which has no cure and is often caused by exposure to asbestos, mostly affecting people who worked in heavy industry.
Well, now it's been decided that those who have been diagnosed will be able to claim full compensation from the government. But critics say the amount previous claimants have received is unfair. Here's our health correspondent, Francis Reid.
A region built on its industry. From shipyards to construction, it's employed thousands across the northeast. But the side effects of working in these kind of industries mean some have been diagnosed with mesothelioma, a cancer caused by exposure to asbestos. John was just 18 when he got his first job as an apprentice in the 1960s.
We were building warships at the time. The whole ship was covered in asbestos. Asbestos work was going on all the time, to the point where apprentices used to make snowballs with the asbestos and have fights with it, you know. It was that prominent.
Every year, more than 100 people from our region die from the disease. In the last 30 years, there have been more than 3,000 mesothelioma-related deaths across the northeast, with the highest rates in traditional industrial areas. Many of the industries are now gone, but the government decided this week that people will be able to claim full compensation, even if their original employer has shut down. But the new system will only apply to new claims.
I really do think we should stop making this difficult for people and getting on with it now. These people who suffer this dreadful illness, this dreadful disease, have got limited time. The research isn't going into the condition as it should, and it does mean that this is a dreadful condition with only one outcome. So we really should do the right thing by them.
When this government came in, this scheme didn't exist. There's been a significant increase in the amount of compensation that is available to people. The government has looked at the scheme again, found additional savings in the administration of it, and it's now using that money that was saved to offer people further compensation to try to go some way towards recognising the terrible impact that this disease has on people's lives.
The government says it means many will receive more than £50,000 extra each. Others say those already living with the disease are unlikely to benefit. Francis Reid, ITV News.
Now the ITV News continues at 6:30. Here's a look at what's happening with Charlene White.
Isolated, bullied and left close to suicide. The damning official findings into whistleblowing in the NHS. The Health Secretary speaks of his shock at the scale of the problem, endorsing calls for changes across the system. A pink battle bus hired by Labour to woo women creates a stir. Politicians say it's magenta. Critics say it's patronising. And on the move, the driverless cars ready for testing on Britain's streets. Join Alistair Stewart and me at 6:30.
Well, next to something for schools, because with 85 days to polling days, 85 days to polling day, a reminder that here at ITV News, we're asking schools to take part in our election 2015 school debate project. It's for secondary school pupils.
Yeah, we're looking for schools to hold a political debate or mock election. Today the scheme got the backing of two political heavyweights.
I think it's a great idea to have elections in schools. It gets mock elections, it gets people interested in politics, it gets people trained in things like public speaking and arguing and thinking about policies and thinking about ideas.
I urge young people who are eligible to vote at this election to register, make sure that your voice is heard, make sure you don't fall off the electoral register, but I really urge young people to engage in this campaign, and I congratulate ITV for doing the job of getting young people engaged in our politics.
So if you like arguing, debating, getting your voice heard, head to our website itv.com/TyneTees and you'll find some useful tips and more information on the project. You'll also be able to register your school to take part in the ITV Tyne Election 2015 school debate.
Time for sport now. 3 big stories tonight, Simon. Yeah, Middlesbrough are top of the Football League. Newcastle United about to meet up with an old friend. Sunderland, though, are struggling with an old problem.
Yeah, a typical Sunderland problem. An embarrassing result at home to Queen's Park Rangers. The head coach criticising the fans criticising the team. There's a can of worms open on Wearside.
They were heading for the exits early last night. Gus Poyet's team flopped at home, not for the first time. We'll get to that issue in a moment, the typical Sunderland problem. But first, the fan problem. Poyet changed his formation as he chased the game last night. He changed it to an old-fashioned 4-4-2. It didn't work. Poyet thinks that sort of football is what a section of Sunderland fans want to see, but he thinks they're wrong.
I don't define that football. I define a desperate team running about and just trying to be nice with the fans. That's what people want, second half. So if the second half is what they want, and they have been asking for a while, then they need to be a little bit more proud of the team.
This is not mutiny. This is not straightforward sack the manager stuff. The head coach thinks some fans are missing the point. But with just 2 league wins at home all season, surely the fans can make their point too.
Yes, if you pay your money. Definitely.
Well, we do have trust in him, but obviously they're putting these performances out every week. You can only take so much, can't you?
It takes 2 to tango, doesn't it, as well? If they put their cards on the table and just have a nice little debate where they're going wrong.
It's definitely better since he got here. Happy the way it's going.
So you think he's, you should have more trust in him?
Yeah.
QPR, a team without a Premier League point away from home all season, were allowed to make themselves at home on Wearside. Sunderland's first half performance was awful, but even then, if Jermaine Defoe and Connor Wickham had taken golden chances, we might not be having this debate. But they didn't. Then QPR scored again, and that was that. The Black Cats are in deep trouble again. On the terraces, they have a phrase for this. Typical Sunderland.
When we are in a good situation, we always make a step back.
They've never won a game all season away from home. They come in, they beat us. We always get the records for the wrong things.
We need to change. I think it's time. I like to be the one to change things, but I cannot see it happening very, in the short period of time.
The problem is no one has ever known how to stop this club from occasionally being typical Sunderland. Gus Poyet definitely sees this problem, but the fans aren't yet convinced by his solution.
It's a bad result, bad atmosphere. Gus Poyet's not happy. The fans don't seem happy. Who's right, who's wrong?
Strangely enough, I think both are a little bit right and both are a little bit wrong. I think Gus Poyet might be onto something, that there might be something deep in the DNA of the whole football club that makes them typical Sunderland from time to time. And I think everyone might need to change the way that they think about football. But equally, I think the crowd are well within their rights to voice their opinion to players and to the head coach if they're not being entertained. They're not being, and if they don't like his solutions to their problems.
Meanwhile, the Borough fans are happy. Middlesbrough went top of the Championship in dramatic fashion, didn't they?
Yeah, magnificent. They've been attacking the summit for weeks, haven't they? And they finally planted their flag. Now, this was a 2-part equation. At kick-off, Bournemouth and Derby were first and second. They were playing each other, and they drew. That meant Borough could go top by beating the bottom club, Blackpool. All the goals came in the last 10 minutes. Jonathan Woodgate scored an emotional goal in his first league start of the season. Ben Gibson's own goal looked to have ruined the night, but Kike scored with a couple of minutes left to send Borough to the top of the table. And it was a good night at the bottom of League Two, but it could have been even better. Hartlepool, the Football League's bottom club, got the job done at home to Northampton Town. Marvin Morgan, on loan from Plymouth, got the only goal of the game. Pools are still bottom, but now just 6 points from safety. York City remains second bottom, but they should have been out of the drop zone altogether. The Minster men took a 2-goal lead at Luton, but then had Jake Hyde sent off. That proved crucial as Luton scored 2 quick goals. They then had a man sent off before the end as well, and the match finished in a 2-2 draw.
And that leads us to tonight's family reunion at Crystal Palace, which is Alan Pardew against Newcastle, Alan Pardew against John Carver.
Yeah, it's intriguing stuff at Selhurst Park tonight, isn't it? It still seems like only yesterday that Alan Pardew made his quite unusual exit from St James's Park. Well, Crystal Palace have won 5 games out of 6 since he took over down there. Pardew will undoubtedly know what to expect from Newcastle this evening, but his replacement knows what to expect from Pardew.
I do know a lot about him, I do know how he works, and as you can see from the results, you know, he's got them well organised, well drilled. He's got some good players. Let's not forget it. This is not all about Alan. We're both professionals and we both want to win. And every game we go into will be competitive. You know my personality and you know Alan's personality, but afterwards there'll be one big cuddle.
One big cuddle. This is intriguing. It's a little bit awkward at the same time.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what the Newcastle fans are like with Alan Pardew. Some wanted him sacked, so they will boo him. Some might look at his record now, might look at what's going on at Newcastle now and wonder whether the grass is necessarily greener on the other side.
It'll be like some family get-togethers, won't it? Simon, thank you very much indeed. Now, how good are you at identifying a place from a photograph?
Well, I suppose it may depend if it's really familiar or has a big landmark.
Indeed, yeah. A new survey has revealed that how little some of us know about where we live or the country that we live in.
Ordnance Survey, the people who make the maps, showed photos of various British beauty spots to people here in the North East.
1 in 5 thought that a picture of Hyde Park in London was of somewhere abroad. About 1 in 7 thought that a photo of Birmingham's canals was taken in a different country.
Closer to home, though, we did do pretty well because 98 out of 100 people correctly identified a picture of Whitley Bay and 97 out of 100 got the Lake District right as well.
The Yorkshire Dales were a little bit less recognisable. 10% of people in Yorkshire who were asked got that one wrong and they thought the photo was taken abroad.
Well, the point of the survey was to encourage us to get to know more about the countryside, and the signs are good because after years with fewer people buying paper maps, now the demand for them is up again. David Wood reports.
Whether it's going on a stroll in the countryside, trekking up a mountain or a drive somewhere new, most people need a map of some sort to get around. But with many of us turning to technology, most are losing any map reading skills. And that's something explorer Benita Norris says is a worrying trend. Aged 22, she's the youngest British woman to reach the summit of Everest and wants more people to get out and about.
Even when I started climbing, I didn't know how to use a map. It's a great skill to have, but it does take time to learn. So I started by going on simple walks near where I lived. But it doesn't surprise me. I don't think that people necessarily appreciate their natural surroundings that they have in their local area as much as we should. And I'm one of those people. And this kind of research reminds me that we do have to get outdoors and appreciate what we have.
But although fewer of us seem to know where landmarks are, most are proud of their surroundings. 6 out of 10 people think their local area is beautiful, while 3/4 don't make an effort to visit parts of the UK. But 40% say they would now like to explore the country more this year, and a fifth believe they take their local area for granted. So that may explain the recent decline in paper map sales. But this year it seems that's changing, and demand is up.
I think people like to be able to use complementary products. I mean, at OS, obviously, we provide digital and paper, but people want to be able to use both in the field and be able to have the sort of assurance that we've got that paper backup as well. And of course, it's because of the accuracy and the level of detail that we provide, and people can do their own routing information.
So as more people start to learn about grid lines and decipher the symbols of a map, there is of course one advantage of the paper form. It doesn't run out of battery. David Wood, ITV News.
Oh, beautiful pictures, beautiful places, and you've got some wonderful pictures, haven't you?
Yes, you can understand why people want to get out and about, taking more photos. Not, you know, your phone map doesn't always work, does it?
No.
Every night this week it's been a treat, the weather slot.
I've got more for you, actually, spanning the season, so I thought we'd take a look at some of the areas highlighted in the survey, like this here. This is the Yorkshire Dales, so most people
that's gorgeous.
knew what it was. I think it was 1 in 10 who struggled. Could maybe mistake it with the French countryside, I don't know. Whitley Bay there, isn't that beautiful?
There's not many clues there, to be fair.
No.
I mean, that could be anywhere.
I'm thinking it's, that could be Ibiza, shouldn't it? Chilling out in Ibiza
I don't know,
in the cold.
I would say the North East coast, but...
And you can't get more British than this, can you? The Lake District, stunning scene here. Even more so today, actually. The clouds doing something a little bit unusual. It's being capped off by warmer air, and so just the tops of the mountains.
That's in the Lake District, yeah?
That is at the Lake District
that
today.
That could have been at sea, that could have been waves.
That could have been on another planet, couldn't it? Could. The weather's very grounded, though. Here's your forecast.
It's always sunny somewhere. Thomson sponsors ITV Tyne weather.
Well, not too many scenes like this out there today. Sunshine has been at a bit of a premium, but the brighter breaks have been there if you've been lucky enough to see them. And it is a case of more of the same as we look towards tomorrow. Plenty of clouds around for most of us, some brighter breaks and staying mostly dry. Just a chance of a bit of drizzle where the cloud gets thick enough. It's staying settled though, high pressure still very much in control. It's been with us for a good few days now, trapping that cloud underneath it, but gradually it is easing its way towards the east, taking the cloud with it, but turning things a bit more unsettled. Low pressure is forming in the west. This will start to sweep in through the later part of Friday, bringing some outbreaks of rain, but also some clearer air as we head towards the weekend. So for the rest of this evening and overnight, we are looking at generally cloudy conditions pushing its way in from the west, and the blanket of cloud will have the effect of holding those temperatures for most of us above freezing, down to around 2 or 3 degrees. Anywhere we see a break in the cloud could just dip below freezing, but generally we are looking at a frost-free night. Light breezes too, allowing patches of mist and fog to form. Into tomorrow morning, very similar to today. Lots of clouds around, some breaks allowing the sunny spells through. We'll see a few more of those into the afternoon as breezes start to pick up, tearing some holes in the cloud. And again, temperatures hitting highs there around 5 or 6 degrees. For Friday, we got outbreaks of rain through the later part of the day, but for Saturday and Sunday, mostly dry and bright with highs of 7 or 8 degrees. Have a good evening.
Thomson sponsors ITV Tyne weather.
Now, here's a surprise. Earlier in the programme, we saw the moment pensioner Alan Barnes was presented with his cheque for more than £300,000 by the woman who started the fund to help him. And as you can see, Katie Cutler is here with us in the studio tonight. Welcome, Katie. Thank you very much for battling through the traffic to be with us. A whirlwind start to your year. What's it been like for you?
It's really strange because everything's happening so quickly. I'm in my own little bubble at the moment, so I don't even know how it's been. It seems like it's happened really quickly, so but very slow. Surreal. Yeah, it's very surreal.
Well, Alan said, he said, you've got so much get up and go, but it's like a fairy story. So even he thinks it's a fairy story. His feet haven't touched the ground either.
Yeah, basically, you don't expect anything like this. Like one day I woke up and took my little girl out, and the next I've got journalists at the door. It's just it's very bizarre.
Tell
very
us a bit more about you then, before all this happened. You're a beautician, yeah?
Yes, I've got a beauty business. I work from home. I did have a beauty salon, but I decided to work from home again just to spend more time with my family. But yes, I love my job. I love being a mum. And
tell us what it was like then when you presented that cheque to Alan. He's become a friend. Let's just see the moment again where you presented the cheque, because that must have been so overwhelming for you to see that cheque and think, I helped raise this money.
I think when I was writing the cheque out, that's when I thought, oh my goodness, this is really real.
Phenomenal.
Oh, so that's your handwriting. You actually got to write out. Wow, not many people get a chance to write that sum of money in their lives and be part of a venture like this.
I had to keep making sure it was correct.
And you've got an event planned for Friday. Tell us about that.
Yes, we've got an event planned on Friday at the Assembly Rooms in Newcastle.
What's that for?
That's a presentation event to present Alan with his cheque officially, where we've got lots of people there who obviously want to meet Alan and chat with him. We've got an auction, so if there's any local businesses who want to donate anything, pop it in at the Assembly Rooms.
So the fundraising continues?
Yeah, it still continues. We're helping the Turbo Trust, which is a charity that helps children with SMA.
What's that?
Basically, it's like a muscle breakdown disease. It's a genetic disease, and a lot of them don't have like use of the legs and the arms. But it's for specialist like electrical equipment.
So it seems like this is going to continue. This is going to be your normal life. Apart from being a beautician, you're going to fundraise as well.
Yeah, I wish days were a little bit longer.
Don't we all?
We wish programmes were a bit longer. Katie, thank you for joining us. Do you like Britain's Got Talent?
I do, yes.
You do. Good news. We've got a treat for Britain's Got Talent fans. The first London auditions have begun in the 9th series of the hit show.
Yes, and our cameras have been behind the scenes as the judges and 2 other people you'll definitely recognise gathered to record some of the opening shows in the series. What secrets can they let us into?
We had a dog that's hypnotised Simon, a dog that's attacked me, quite a lot of variety, lots of things, lots of stuff. But it's just great fun, this show. really is. It's celebrating the eccentrics of Great Britain.
And finally, what sort of act do you both think will win this year?
Hopefully our Golden Buzzer.
Yeah.
A five-piece boy dance troupe who are fun, energetic, and bringing something different. So hopefully our act.